Okay, how's everybody doing today? Today, I have a review for you guys of the HTC Desire 510. So let's jump right into this. So the first thing I want to talk about is the build quality of the device, and I must say the build quality is really good, aside from the very fingerprint-esque back that they used in the material. But the material itself feels good to the touch, and it definitely doesn't slide out of my hand, as you can see. So that's good. Now, moving right along, let's talk about the display. Right here up front, dead center, we have a 4.7-inch IPS display, and I must say the display is quite good. Some of the colors don't reproduce like I want them to, but it's still quite good for daily use. Right now, okay, let me adjust the brightness. I think I got it up too high. That should work. Yeah, that looks good. But the display itself looks really good. The viewing angles are decent. Now, outside in direct sunlight, it's going to be okay. It's going to be a little bit of a strain, but it's going to be okay. So, that's not too bad. But in terms of resolution here, let's just go ahead and fire up CPU-Z so you guys can see the resolution. And let me slide over. Of course, you would crash right when I'm in the middle of a review. Okay, but in terms of resolution, right here, as you can see, we have a, where is it at? I was just looking at it. Yep, past it. We have a 4.56 inch, so you can call it 7 inches, display at a resolution of 480 by 854 with a 240 DPI rating. So, yeah. Now, some of y'all may be saying, well, that's kind of low, but it really is decent for what you need it for, and I really had no problems with it. So, yeah. Moving right along, let's talk about some of the hardware that's in this guy. So we have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 410 clocked at 1.2 gigahertz. And I must say, it runs really good, you guys. No issues whatsoever. And in terms of GPU, we have the Adreno 305 clocked at 450 megahertz, and that pretty much is sufficient to run any casual game on Android, even some heavier games, as y'all will see later on in the gaming test. And other things, let's see, we have 1 gig of RAM on this device and 8 gigs of ROM with an expansion up to 128 gigs, I believe. And I have a 32 gig card in here, so it's more than enough space for all of my things. So, moving right along here, let's talk about the glitches, the stutters, and the crashes. Now, I've had no crashes or glitches of any kind except for that one y'all saw on camera, where sometimes the CPU-Z benchmark app tends to crash right after you open it. That seems to be common on a lot of these devices. Even some higher end devices, they might want to check their software. But in terms of other things, I've had no problems whatsoever. So I would say it's pretty good on that front. Now, in terms of features and software running on the device, we have HTC Sense 6 running on the device, and as you can see, it's themed, HTC themed, and I must say that HTC does a beautiful job with their software. It's not heavy at all. Everything they've added seems to lend itself well to the user. Like right here, if I go into the quick toggles, you can see that there's a screenshot toggle, and that makes it really easy to take a screenshot. No button combination needed or anything like that. And some of their widgets are beautiful, as you can see right here. And I must really applaud HTC because they did a great job. Now, in terms of actual software running on this guy, this is running Android 4.4.2 KitKat. And like I said, it has HTC Sense 6. So you have all of HTC's features on this guy here. And they theme their settings quite nicely. Let me back up, sorry guys. Theme the settings quite nicely. So that's all good stuff there. And I must say, I'm really starting to like HTC. I can definitely see what the buzz is all about. Why people like HTC so much. Now, moving right along, in terms of Wi-Fi on this device, we are running 802.11 BG and N, no AC, because this is kind of a budget device, so you don't have any AC, no dual band on this guy here. So, but for what it has, it runs very well. I've had no issues with the Wi-Fi whatsoever, and that's even more important because for this particular review, I decided to use, instead of putting a SIM card in the device, I decided to use Wi-Fi and see just how good some of these Wi-Fi things were, particularly Google stuff, so like Google Hangouts and Google Dialer to make phone calls. And we're going to talk about that in a bit, but in terms of Wi-Fi, I was not disappointed at all. So let's go ahead and let's run a little YouTube video for you guys so you can see what I was playing last year. Alright, and I think this is from Jay at Maji and Jay. I was looking at one of his unboxings.
Information, and then here the camera on the website, it says that it has been interpolated to be 18 megapixels, but in fact it's going to be a 13 megapixel rear sensor, and then on the front we have a 5 megapixel sensor, which I think is fair enough. We can see that it does have a big battery. It is 3,350 built-in battery. We cannot.
Alright, so there you go. So it loads up quite quickly. There's no buffering or lag, and just for a further example, I downloaded speedtest.net, and I'm going to give y'all a little hint of my results. Now, I have a pretty good Netgear router, and it's set up quite nicely, so I get really good speeds over Wi-Fi. Didn't have any issues streaming movies or music or anything like that. So the Wi-Fi in this device is pretty good. Now, moving on, let's talk about some of the bands that you will need if you're planning on getting this device. I like this benchmark app because it lays it out quite nicely. So let me go ahead and pull this up. So it was up there and now it's not up there. Okay, there you go. It took a second to fill in. Okay, so in terms of bands that you're gonna need from your carrier to use this device, you can see it right there. You're gonna need 850, 900, 1800, 1900, or 850, 900, 2100. Or in terms of LTE, you're going to need 800, 1800, and 2600. Now, if you have that, you should have no problems. Please check with your carrier and make sure before you pick up this device, because I want it to run smoothly for you guys. So, yes, that's always good to know. Now, this does come in two different variants. You have a single SIM variant and you have a dual SIM variant. So keep that in mind. The dual SIM variant, in my opinion, is a little bit better, but it's going to cost you a little bit more money. But just throwing that out there for you guys. Now, moving right along, let's talk about the Bluetooth in this device. Now, Bluetooth wise, this device is really good. I believe it's running Bluetooth 4.0. Yep. So, Bluetooth wise, I synced it up to my headphones. Another pair of headphones that I got from my mother. We'll be reviewing those soon. Still got a few more things to do. But Bluetooth wise, the device is really good. It synced up no problems, and it was really fast. And sending files back and forth, as you can see there. Just let me bring it up. Let that focus. Sending files back and forth and things of that nature was really good. I kind of cleared it out and left the headphones because I was kind of Bluetoothing with a lot of devices, so I emptied it out and just left the headphones in there. But the Bluetooth on this device is really good, and it does not burn your battery down as fast as other Bluetooth, but that's attributed to the Bluetooth 4.0 because it kind of sips at the battery. So, moving right along, now let's talk about the GPS in this guy. The GPS in this guy is actually really good, guys. I mean, it locks on really quickly. Let me go ahead and pull this GPS test app up, and as you can see, give it a second, and there it is. It's up. 3D fix, and it locked on really quickly. And the GPS things that I did over Wi-Fi were really fast, especially Google Maps. It was really fast, so I don't believe you're gonna have any problems with GPS on this device, guys. So, moving right along, this brings us to, let's talk about call quality in terms of this device. Call quality and speakers in terms of this device. So let's start with call quality. So for calls and text, I used the Google apps. I used Hangouts and I used the Dialer app, and calls over Wi-Fi were actually really good. The receiver was crisp and clear. I had no issues with calls over Wi-Fi. It was really good. And I think I read an article from Android Authority that says that Google is planning to maybe launch their own carrier service, and if that happens, it's gonna be really, really good. So, fingers crossed. I hope that happens, because Google seems to do good at almost everything they do. Not everything, but almost everything. But call quality was really good on this device. Now, speakers wise, the speaker on the device is decent, but in certain situations I found myself wishing that it was a little bit louder. You know, when you're out in the crowd and you don't have headphones, or you're watching a little movie and it's kind of noisy but you don't have headphones, I found myself wishing that it was a little bit louder. But let me go ahead and play some music for you guys so you guys can hear how it sounds for yourself. Let me go ahead and launch some music here. Let you guys hear that. Alright, play a few seconds. Okay, adjust the volume here. So that's max volume. Okay, so it does play good. I just wish it was a little bit louder, but I think that just might be me getting old or something. I don't know. I seem to be wishing a lot of phone speakers were louder these days, or front firing, because you know HTC makes some beautiful front firing speakers, but not on this device, I'm afraid. But maybe one day we'll have some front firing speakers to test out, but not today. But speaker was okay. Like I said, I wish they could get a little bit louder, but it is what it is. And you know, since it's rear firing, it's easier to muffle when you place it flat, or when you're playing games and such. It's easier to cover up so you don't get as good a sound as you would like. But you learn what techniques to use, so that's not an issue. So, moving right along, let's talk about the camera on this device. So, hey guys, that's me. And let's go back to the main camera here. So, camera wise on this device, you have a 5 megapixel fixed focus camera, and a 1.3 VGA camera on the front. Now, before we jump into the picture samples, let's talk about the interface. Now, the interface is really, really simple. Tap up here for your settings. You can adjust your ISO and your white balance, and you have things like that. You got your picture modes here, but it's really, really simple and makes it really, really easy. And you do have Zoe on this phone, so you can stitch up nice little slideshows and things like that. It's actually really, really good. And you have video. I think it's 720p video, and you could do the same thing. And then in terms of the front camera, as you can see, it's got a 0.3 megapixel camera, but in good lighting you can get some good shots. But if you need to do a video call, you'll be okay. But as for selfies, I didn't like it that much. Y'all have seen the samples that I'm about to show. But other than that, the camera itself is very simple. It's very fast. Let me take a quick picture here. Let me find something to take a quick picture of real quick, so you guys can see. got this flash drive here. And so let's focus up here. Let me back up some. And let's go back into it. And let me just get some focus there. And take the picture. And there you go. The picture is actually pretty quick. And you do have burst mode. So that's nice. It does take a minute to save when you do burst mode. But yeah. So now let's take a look at some of the samples. This was in low light. And as you can see, it came out really well. I would have loved some more detail, but it is what it is. And I got a few video samples for you guys as well. I'm going to show you that. And this was outside. It was kind of a shady day. And now here's the one video test for you guys. Alright. This is outside camera test for the front facing camera. I just wanted to see, I'm not going to make this long, see how the whites come across here. Got this nice white door, because I know in the pictures it comes off as eggshell when it was really, well, it is an eggshell, but it's a lighter white eggshell. I wanted to see if the video does the same thing. And I can't really see the camera right now, but we'll see when I watch the video back. And I wonder how my voice is getting picked up. So that was one. And as I said, I was feeling kind of under the weather, so that was one video test. And then here is the rear facing shooter. Alright, so what we have here is a camera test. This one's outside today because it was such a gorgeous day. Figured I'd come outside, and I wasn't doing too much running around today, so I wanted to do this camera test real quick. Sorry if I sound kind of weird. I'm feeling a little under the weather, but as you can see, pretty good video quality here. You can zoom in with the volume keys. Alright, so now let's look at some more photo samples. So this is with the front facing camera. Came out really well. That one just looks a little out of focus to me. I don't know if that's just my eyes playing tricks on me, but let's see. This is my baby cousin. It's inside, pretty decent light. It came out really well. And then this is in my room. And you have the pinch to zoom and such. So, yeah. Wasn't too bad. And then my pit bull had puppies. And the lighting in there was not too good. And then this was in my friend's car. Got a decent shot of the drinks. So, that turned out really good. Forgive that. So yeah, let me see if I have any more front facing shots. But yeah, see, the front facing shots in low light are really bad. You can see it kind of blew out the light there. And yeah, it's not really focused. The shot looks kind of blurry to me, but it is what it is. So now let's move on to something else. See, let me check my notes here. Let's do some gaming tests. Ooh, this video is getting kind of up there, but let's go ahead here. Alright, let me relaunch them. Let's start out with something light. Some Subway Surfer here. And like I said, it plays really well. But let me go ahead and show y'all on camera once it loads up. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead, play a little bit. Okay. As you can see, it's very responsive. This kind of tough to play from behind the camera, but it's very responsive. And I've burned countless hours playing these games on this phone. And the battery life was surprisingly good. But let's go ahead and launch something else. Gonna have to try and pick it up a little bit. I don't want the camera to die on me while I'm recording, so let's play a little Fruit Ninja here for you guys. And, you know, been playing this a lot. Getting kind of good at this, and because the screen is so responsive, it's actually made this game kind of addictive. But let's go ahead and play one so you guys can see. If I suck, it's because I'm trying to play from behind the camera, but let me go ahead and do this quickly. Now, for a device with only 1 gig of RAM, y'all can see I have a lot of stuff open in the background, and the game is still very playable, so I like that. But now if you try to open up, let's say, more than 5 things, it might get a little slowdown-esque, but it's still very playable. Let's move on to the next one. So that was that. That's tough. You need to make that easier to play on camera. Now let's play a little Dead Trigger here. And this is a little bit more graphic intensive, but I did test out a lot of graphic intensive games. I tested out Dead Trigger, Asphalt 8, GT Racing. I tested out a lot of them, and they all ran well on default settings. I didn't change any settings. I just left it how it is. You guys know I'm not really good at tweaking any of that stuff. I just kind of like how to leave it how it is and play. So, but they all ran really, really well. So if you're a heavy gamer, you shouldn't have any problems with this device. So now just go ahead and play a little bit of this. Just a few seconds. Oh, this is getting kind of lengthy. Might have to break it into 2 separate videos. Oh, what the heck. I'll break it into 2. It'll be alright. So as you can see, it plays quite smoothly. I didn't really look at the mission before I pushed play, so I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Nice. But it is very smooth, and sensitivity is really good. So that's Dead Trigger 2. Now, moving right along, let's talk about some benchmarks on this device. So, let's start off with 3D Mark here. And I ran 2. I ran the Ice Storm Extreme, and I ran the, I think it was the Ice Storm Unlimited. And let me just take a look at my device because it has the scores. So let's see. It scored on the Ice Storm Extreme. It scored a 2,877. Now that's pretty good. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. And as you can see, it gives me some details about my my device here in terms of graphic testing. So the numbers aren't great, but they're decent. And in terms of the other test here, I think it's further down. Yeah, the Ice Storm, not the Extreme, scored a 5,373. And once again, you see some more details about the test. So, not high, but decent. So let's move on to some other benchmarks here. Let's go to Antutu. And in the Antutu, I believe it scored a 18,000 and some change. Yeah, there we go. 18,725. Now it's saying not verified because I don't have a SIM card in this device, but that is a pretty respectable score in terms of what other devices we have here. But it is what it is. You know, you guys know I only run these because I like to see the raw numbers. Now, what other benchmarks do we have in here? Let me see if I could speed up the process some. I do believe I took screenshots. So let's back up and check out some of the benchmark screenshots I took. So